Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and we are finally about to watch Simone the Digger, aka Gurren Lagann, versus Kyle Rayner, aka DC's White Lantern. There are many White Lanterns in DC, but you know what I mean. We have been waiting for this for such a long time, and to see this like actually in front of my face that we're about to watch this death battle is somehow still mind-blowing. We know this was coming for a long time since the Kickstarter, but even still, like, the fact that it's here is absolutely crazy. I know for me and a lot of other people, this was a most wanted death battle. Like, out of all the matchups that exist, I am so happy that we're about to see this, and you know, I think that they know how big this matchup is. I really have faith that Death Battle really put their heart and soul into this. I cannot wait to see what we get. In terms of who I am rooting for, I really like both of these characters, and that's another thing that I think is shared by a lot of people. Like, both of these guys are just awesome. I think that, like, I've been more familiar with Kyle for a longer period of time, and I am more of a DC guy than I am like a Gurren Lagann guy, but I still really like Simone as a character. I think he's a really inspiring character, and I think, again, yeah, just pushing yourself to be the best you can be, you know, that Goku-esque stuff, like, I think that's great, you know. So I don't really want to say that I'm rooting against either of these guys because I think they're both great. In terms of who I think is going to win, I don't know. Like, I've seen so many sides, you know, so many arguments on both sides at this point, and so many, like, conflicting things as well, that I feel like it's really just going to come down to how Death Battle interprets it. I really feel like I need to wait to see what they have to say, and then I come to my conclusion just based off of that. In my prediction video, I did lean a bit more towards Kyle. However, if they don't give Kyle the life equation, which I don't know if they're going to do, I kind of expected that they would. It seems a little more consistent for them based on what they've included for other characters, but if they don't give it to him, then I think Simone actually has a pretty decent chance of winning. If Simone does win, even if Kyle has the life equation, then I'm definitely missing something. But again, we'll have to see what Death Battle says about it, right? You know, so I'll just have to wait and see what they say, and then I'll come to my final prediction. But yeah, without further ado, let's finally get to watching. Alrighty, here we go. This is the most hyped I've been for a death battle in quite a while.
Born of Earth with the willpower to pierce.
Well, I guess Bowser vs. Eggman did come out, so forget that.
Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out
okay,
who will win.
I'm ready. I listened to Will of the Drill before this, in case anyone was wondering. I had to.
Deep underground, Jiha Village lived in dreary isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave.
That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great.
Right, yeah.
Oh, and his
Kamina to
brother
start.
from another mother, Simone. He was
with
there
Simone.
too, I guess.
Simone was a digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt until the
dislikes
day
the
he
anti-spiral.
found
Wow, I
the
never
drill.
would have
The
guessed.
key that activated the mysterious buried mech that Kamina
They even put the
named
pronunciation in it.
Lagann.
That's fun.
Under his magnificently masculine leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom, seeing the sun after a life in the dark.
But the
Isn't
sky
that
was
nice?
by no means the limit. The surface was
And I want to
ruled
make
by
sure
the
I'm really
cruel
paying
chimeric
attention,
beastmen,
because
and Kamina
we're
would
getting into
lead
some
his
wacky
compatriots
stuff.
against them to reclaim the Earth for humanity, scoring a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren.
Right,
and as
yeah.
befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond, Gurren and Lagann merged, creating Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Kamina piloting the body and
Why
Simone's
not?
head, these two were unstoppable.
Of all the
Oh, we haven't
giant
seen
fighting
Unstoppable
robots
yet,
and
but
all the
fair
enemies
enough.
across history, Gurren Lagann might just be the absolute coolest, fueled by its pilot's
I'd say
willpower
one of the
and
coolest,
capable
but
of
sure.
making any weapon they can imagine.
Including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course,
Drills! Wrist-mounted drills, kunai drills, shield drills, kamehameha drills. and
They have a
everyone's
preference,
favorite,
right?
The Giga Drill Buranku!
Yep.
Side note, it is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. That's like if I made booze or something, my whole personality.
with Gurren
Oh,
Lagann's
was that,
awesome
99
power,
bottles?
Kamina laid waste to enemy forces,
Boomstick
liberated
stand,
human
that's
villages,
awesome.
and fomented a rebellion
I like how they
against
still
the
put in stuff
Beastmen
like that.
king, Lord Genome.
Until Kamina died. Oh, wait, shit, was that supposed to happen?
No.
And it was all
Probably not,
Simone's
no.
fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price. After all, he was just
You
a
gotta love the
humble
tragic
digger,
backstory.
At home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit.
So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simone who believes in you. Damn.
Kamina was
Damn,
the
right,
one looking up to
aw.
him the whole time, It was Simone who found Lagann, Simone who pierced the surface, and Simone who would now lead humanity to victory.
I mean, yeah, he kind of has to be the one to do it.
His side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the anti-spiral.
Oh, right,
attack.
yeah. See, this is where we get
Unimaginably
into
powerful godlike
unstoppable.
aliens, the anti-spiral feared humanity's potential, what they dubbed the spiral nemesis.
Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit? Turns
Yes.
out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an
Yes.
energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah.
Just as the spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness.
Oh, that's me.
The spiral turned outward spins forever into infinity.
Yeah,
the
I wish,
perfect
for me.
representation of humanity's evolutionary potential.
Potential.
I think it's a cool
Simone
metaphor.
used as he led Team Dai Gurren across the multiverse to take the fight to the anti-spiral.
Look at that
And
guy.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets crazy.
Yup.
Channeling spiral power lets you constantly adapt to threats, no matter how overwhelming.
Right.
Simone can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy attacks, and even merge Gurren Lagann with bigger and stronger machines.
Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is strong enough to shatter space and time with
Yeah.
a punch.
Or the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can
And we're
fire
not even
lasers
done
that are
yet.
fast enough to hit, and I quote, all time, space, and dimensions.
Yeah.
All within a Planck instant.
That's the smallest unit of time physically possible.
Meaning each laser would have to be moving 4.6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light.
I'm surprised they actually gave that a
Looks
number.
like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history. Congratulations,
we're measurable,
Gurren
yeah.
Lagann.
Move over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says they hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast.
Yeah, so like, what
Wasn't
do you
enough
do
to
with
escape
that?
The anti-spiral's greatest trap, the multiverse labyrinth. An attack
Mm-hmm.
that imprisons Simone in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind, permanently arresting him in a dream world.
Except
But-
Simone and his spiral power are just built different.
Yup.
And after being inspired by his bro,
That's basically how you
Simone
explain all of this.
absorbed that whole multiverse to escape.
What makes this even more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional,
Mm-hmm.
meaning Simone absorbed a higher dimensional structure several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump between dimensions is basically infinite.
Yeah.
Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that
I
extends
like how they're going into this.
infinitely,
I like
thus
stuff like
an
this.
infinite gap in size and scope.
What?
Oh, we're just getting started.
Yeah, we are.
Imagine a two-dimensional drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too far off from
Well, it's just
what
not really
actually
conceivable.
Because when Simone absorbed the multiverse labyrinth, he merged with every alternate universe version of himself.
They really
including
just
alternate
keep
universe
going.
Simone, who is writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann. And that author's spiral power made his fictional Simone real, adding another to the mix.
happened. Wait, if every
Jesus.
human being has spiral power, you're telling me we can all do this shit?
This all gave our Simone enough
Maybe,
spiral
maybe
power to form
eventually.
the next step in
Evolution, right?
evolution. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann.
Yep.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets
Well, we put a super in front of that, it's even
actually
better.
fucking crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have a 100% chance of hitting you, or tossing galaxies around like frisbees.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I say galaxies? I meant universes.
Simone's power
Right,
was
yeah.
so immense that he started
Under
generating
interpretation,
super
yeah, or data
spiral
book or whatever, they
space,
are
a
universes.
higher dimension encompassing our own universe.
With it, Simone turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his mech and all of its weapons in the first place.
Not only does this mean he no longer needs co-pilots, he can also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just by willing it back into existence.
Yeah.
Like when Lord Genome used
Whatever he
spiral power
wants.
to survive quantum breakdown, or the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power to constantly regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level.
Informational.
For 7 days straight.
Information in physics is essentially the ones and zeros that make up every
Yeah, the binary, the
possible outcome
code,
in
yeah.
reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction.
If I have spiral power, Wiz,
I mean,
when
I'm
the
sure
fuck
we've seen
is my
crazier
leg
stuff on
growing
Death Battle
back?
When
before,
even this
just
was
by
not enough for
description,
the
but that's still,
anti-spiral,
wow.
Simone evolved one more time.
In 2, Super
There it is,
Tengen
yes.
Toppa Gurren
Look at that thing.
Lagann.
This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable.
Mm-hmm.
And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simone and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all.
Hey, cruel indifference of the universe. Meet the indomitable human spirit.
Proving Kamina's words prophetic, that Simone's drill
That's
is
really the whole
drill
point,
that
right?
would pierce the heavens.
With no more worlds
Tear a
left
hole
to
in the
conquer,
sky.
Simone chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days in service to others.
Always looking up. For all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live free.
All
Ohana
thanks
means
to
family.
a humble digger.
That's awesome.
The universe is a dangerous
And now we move on to
place.
Kyle.
Should you find
There was
yourself
a lot of
face-to-face with
information
an
there, and there's gonna be a lot
interdimensional
more here,
vampire,
so
alien
buckle up.
dictators, or this one really pissed off cat.
Hey,
You know
Dexstar!
The Green
We love
Lantern
Dexstar.
Corps. They're the Space Fuzz, an intergalactic police force founded billions of years ago by blue leprechaun
Guardians of the
gods.
Universe.
And the greatest
Cool
Green
guys.
Lantern among them was
Well, sometimes.
everyone's favorite, Hal Jordan.
Favorite?
You know him. You love him. You might hate him.
I was about to
You
say, I don't know if
gotta
everyone
respect
watching
a
here would
man
call him
with
their
a will as
favorite.
unbreakable as Hal's.
Until the day his will broke.
Yeah,
His
he's
hometown got completely obliterated.
even
Hal
aside from the
lost
death
his
battle, he's
mind.
not always the
He
best.
rampaged through the core, killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming the Emerald Tyrant, Parallax.
There was only
Yeah.
one survivor.
Remember
of
Parallax from the Green
Parallax's
Lantern
killing
movie?
spree.
'Cause I wish I
Ganthet.
didn't.
And with what remained
Oh, yeah,
of his
Ganthet.
strength,
Yeah, that's one of the
he
few
gave
Guardians
the
I know
last
by
Green
name.
Lantern ring in the universe to a human, Kyle Rayner.
Yep.
So, was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was?
He dislikes
Ah, he was
DC
there.
editorial,
He had
ain't
no
that
idea
the
what was
truth?
going on. Must feel good being given the most dangerous magical weapon in existence to figure out on your own. Hey, if Colonel Sanders, Daffy Duck, Space Wheat, and a sentient fox can master it, what's
Yeah,
your
I mean,
excuse,
yeah, if
Kyle?
Daffy can
The Green
do it,
Lantern ring
yeah.
can do anything, fulfilling any wish its user
But it seems like
desires,
Looney Tunes
as
can do
though
whatever
it were
they
a
want.
genie from a lamp.
It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate
Yeah,
matter,
basically
time
just the
travel,
basics.
warp reality, and erase things from existence.
Think we're exaggerating? Well, consider
Look at
the
all
time
those
Kyle
abilities.
stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into a light year.
Lanterns
So more
control
Planck
time and
talk, although
space,
not exactly
letting
the
them fly
same.
so fast they can create a Speed Force singularity.
Tapping into the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space,
Yep.
requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings have
So,
an artificial
also immeasurable
intelligence
stuff, that makes
operates just
sense.
as fast, automatically protecting its user from danger.
Like the time that Poozer Kilowog survived being erased from existence by the crisis
Right.
of Infinite Earth.
That's
The ring
still
is
like,
fueled by
how
its
the hell do you
user's
do that?
willpower and limited only by their imagination.
While Hal may have had the greatest willpower in the Corps, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because he's a comic book artist. And we know from this show, they think of
Yeah.
some wild shit.
So
But the
many
Green
years of
Lantern's
comics,
most
so many years of
recognizable ability
weirdness.
Is their constructs, Kyle's speciality.
Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting
Yep, I was
robots.
waiting for this.
Hey, that one looks familiar.
He's a
Kyle's gonna
fan,
be
you
strong
know,
enough to
let him
lift
be a
the
fan.
Spectre, who weighs as much as eternity.
Or
Oh, yeah, back to that.
12.3 dimensional Big Bang. Wait, 0.3? DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The ring's only
I feel like it
downside
has
is
more
it's
than that
limited
in
to
total,
24
but
hours before needing a
maybe like
recharge.
extra
So
layers
it
of
can
creation,
blow
I don't
up
know.
universes, but it has the battery of an iPhone.
Yeah,
Never mind,
the-
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Stamina-wise,
Although
that's
I'd
not
say Kyle's
great.
biggest weakness was Kyle. With great power came no responsibility.
Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any
Hmm.
reflection came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend,
Yeah.
Alex, and put her body in a fridge.
Kyle
Yeah.
wasn't the only one traumatized. This moment was so infamous, it started the trope called fridging.
Or how
Fridging.
female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development.
So
Yeah.
it might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again.
Kyle finally got
Actually
serious.
surprised, like,
he became a
they're
prominent
not
member of the
only talking about
Justice
Kyle,
League,
they're talking about other
faced
stuff
off
too.
against
That's
Hal,
pretty cool.
And even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever.
But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun.
In order to save Ganthet
He's been in
from
comics
an
quite a while
emotional
now.
economy. It's a long story. He had to master all the colors of the emotional electromagnetic
Yep.
spectrum.
There are 7
What do you do when you put all the colors
each
together? You get
representing a
white.
different emotion. The yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate the worst horrors in your mind. The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes.
Orange light is fueled by
Which is weird, 'cause it's like the
bottomless
opposite of most of the
possessing
other
Kyle to
emotions
absorb
where
not
you
merely
need to
his
feel the
enemies'
emotion.
attacks, but also their souls.
Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm.
Yeah.
Which sounds like it
That
sucks,
weird
but
thing the
it's
Red
metal
Lanterns
as hell.
use.
Blue light is powered by
I like
hope
Dexter, though.
and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring.
Indigo is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him to others.
The final one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can trap enemies within crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death.
Oh,
Okay.
self-love.
I mean,
I get it.
Simone
Must
has
be
broken out of
nice.
like traps
And with their
before,
powers
and
combined,
you know, the
he doesn't
labyrinth.
Just make his enemies taste the rainbow.
it's hard to tell how
The lights of
comparable
the
these things
spectrum
are, you know?
merged, and Kyle became a white lantern.
There we go.
With total control over the power of life.
Wiz, I cannot think of an attack more useless in a
Than hitting you with
battle
life.
than something that makes you live.
Empowered by the
That's
physical
not really it,
embodiment
but
of
okay.
all life in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other lantern in existence.
Right. Well,
Far
maybe other than
stronger
the
hell.
other white
Who
lanterns,
could
but
harness
yeah.
the energy of every power battery across the multiverse?
Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead, the white light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation, like the anti-monitor.
The anti-monitor is
Okay,
no
so
joke.
It's not totally useless.
Especially after
Yeah.
Kyle visited the Source and acquired the life equation.
Now, does he get to
Essentially
keep
the
it?
Source code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living.
With it, Kyle can alter all of reality.
Which is weird, you have
at a
proof
whim,
that it's both
even
living
threatening
and
the
not
new
living like the
gods
anti-life
Darkseid.
equation.
The life equation, like its counterpart, the anti-life
Yeah.
equation, is a conceptual artifact from a higher reality, originating in a platonic realm that is, in a sense, more real than we are.
Yeah.
So it's not a shock that the equation
I'm aware
made
of all that
Kyle
stuff. The Imaginary
too
Axis talks
powerful.
about it a lot.
He struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion.
Right.
Kyle's greatest weakness was still himself.
Kyle spent his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back.
But ultimately,
Hell yeah.
the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his
That's
second
right.
core, the White Lanterns. And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for
So
all.
is he not
Not
getting it
bad
then,
for
maybe?
a comic book geek from LA.
And now he was the one.
I would actually
giving out
respect that a
rings of
lot if they
unlimited
don't give
power
it to
people
him,
who
but
weren't sure if they could
I'm not
command.
100%
So
sure.
he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have to learn yourself,
Yep.
making mistakes along the way.
But with the power of life at their
Mistakes are the
command,
greatest
there's
teacher,
no
right?
End to their journey. Only endless beginnings.
Great, okay.
Hey, remember Beerus versus Sailor Galaxia? No? Well,
You know what, I'm
that's
gonna
because
let
it was
this play,
taken off YouTube
because this
for
is
being
important
too
for people to hear.
anime. But we've got a solution. It's our own website. That's www.deathbattle.gg.
Yep.
It's like our own private Patreon, with a store for Death Battle merch and a complete Death Battle video archive. It's got episodes that YouTube has banned, blocked, and censored.
Yes,
and
it's
there's even
back.
more goodies on the way. So check
Yeah, that's
out
important to know. So yes, go
deathbattle.gg
here and-
live right now.
Yeah, if you want to do all that stuff. But I think now we're getting to, yep,
All
we're
right,
at the
the
midpoint.
combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's
Time for a death battle. Okay. Let's pause that. Okay. This is hard. I don't know if I've gotten worse at this, but it seems like whenever, you know, I get to this point in a reaction video, I am just so lost. There's so much information, especially on Simone's side. Like, they were taking out, you know, quotes all over the place and stuff from data books, which I'm really happy that they're doing. Like, don't get me wrong. It's like, it's a really good thing that they're doing all of this stuff, because sometimes I feel like they prioritize what's easy to explain a little too much, and then it kind of misrepresents some characters as far as versus debating is concerned. But I'm really happy that they really went into a lot of detail with these characters, you know, and and really made sure to explain everything as best they could, or, how they felt it should be explained, because, these characters, you kind of need that for a debate like this, right? So I'm really happy with that. It's just a lot of information. They definitely seem to put a bigger emphasis on what a lot of Simone could do, but ultimately, like, for stuff like the speed, for instance, like they said, oh yeah, fastest calculable speed that we've seen, on the show, and then they went up to immeasurable anyway, and then with Kyle, they kind of just immediately said immeasurable with the Speed Force singularity, So even though they put a lot more emphasis on Simone's speed, it seems like they're about even, and there's also the stuff like, like Simone can, absorb the higher dimensions, escape the labyrinth, which is 11-dimensional, multiple layers of infinity. They did talk about the 12.3 dimensional DC cosmology. Again, I'm still not sure if that's really as high as it goes. I'll have to double check that. But that would be higher, just generally speaking. But again, with the whole thing, like I keep going back to, Simone can just will his way to being stronger, and he can hit his opponent from every point in time at a Planck length, Planck instant, whatever, Planck time, all that stuff. You know what I'm trying to say. So could he theoretically just wait until, or hit him at the point where the power ring just loses charge? Like, I feel like that's a very fair interpretation. I don't know if that's how they're going to do it, but if he just hits him with that immediately, would that just not kill him immediately? It's difficult to say. But again, fighting the Anti-Monitor, a threat to all of DC's creation, like, that is still stronger than anything we've seen in Gurren Lagann, to my knowledge. But again, could Simone just not get to that point himself? Like, again, how many magnitudes are we talking about here in terms of increasing his power? Is this the kind of thing that we have seen him do before? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on how big they estimate DC's cosmology to be, And a lot of their powers seemed very similar, like they could instantly heal wounds. Again, they put more emphasis on Simone's by saying that, that the woman was able to, heal her information being deleted or whatever. And then they talked a lot about healing and all that, but then they were also like, well, Kyle can just, heal instantly. So again, it's like, what are we talking about there specifically in terms of, what he is healing? It's hard to say, but again, control over all life. I feel like the information is kind of encompassed in that. And they did talk about compassion, where he can falter an enemy's will. I'm not sure if I heard them specifically say anything about Simone resisting his will being taken away. So it's tough. Again, I'm not 100% sure how their powers are specifically going to play off of each other, so it's a little hard. I'm not sure. And the fact that they did not, it seems to me, I'm not 100% sure, but it seems to me that they are not giving Kyle the life equation. And I do actually respect that quite a bit, because I usually think it's better to look at a character in a versus debate at their most accurate, so to speak, state, as opposed to the strongest they've ever been, regardless of context. And like they said, he did give up the life equation, or he did split it apart. I was aware of that before going into this, and I was thinking, like, I feel like that should mean something, but there are other instances where it's clear they haven't done that, so I was kind of expecting them to give him the life equation. So at this point, it's like, if Simone wins when Kyle does not have the life equation, like, I think that's a very fair interpretation. I won't really have an issue with that. But again, with DC being as crazy as it is, I can just imagine there being things that Simone doesn't really have an answer for. But the fact, again, that he can just grow in power, like, that's kind of a huge answer to the, quote, cosmology argument, right? So it's hard to say. It really is hard for me to say. I would not be surprised if Simone wins, because they did talk about a lot of ridiculous stuff. If they really just say, oh yeah, well, it hits him at every point in time, and that includes the point in time after he, loses his battery charge at the end, then fair enough. Although, does the Speed Force singularity, or being immeasurable in speed, like, I don't really feel like that means that that's a counter to that. It's hard. It would have to be that, like, he has just a direct resistance, or he has, like, existed outside of all of space. And I guess he did kind of exist in the source, didn't he? Or, like, behind the source wall. I don't know if that would be enough for that, though. It's hard. I could see Simone winning. I could see Kyle winning. I'm really not sure. I will say, for certainty, though, the fact that it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like they're not giving Kyle the life equation, I think Simone has a better chance. So we'll just have to see what happens. I'm so excited for this episode, or I'm so excited for this animation. Yeah, let's just get to watching. Whoa! Splitting a mountain. Okay, that's a way to start.
All right, I'm not rusty at all.
No, I can't imagine you would be.
Hey, dude,
Catch.
Green Lantern
Did he
Officer
make the
Kyle
catch,
Rayner
or
here.
maybe
Says
not? I don't
you
know.
got a Class A galactic super weapon.
Oh, where have we seen this
I'm
before?
thinking it's the giant mech. Why don't you hand it over?
Well,
Gurren
not
Lagann's mine,
quite.
Officer. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Well, that's Kyle. And that's Balrog? Oh yeah, I'm expecting some creative stuff here. Absolutely. No missiles and a vacuum cleaner.
I'm told I'm bad with authority.
Tell me about
red,
it.
red, I assume? No, he's still Green Lantern. 4! And we're in space.
That's nothing.
Look at this head with a drill. Oh yeah, we're going higher. Whoa,
Toppa, Gurren Lagann.
that's awesome. Yeah, like look how huge that is. But that's not a scale Kyle can't. Yeah. Oh hey, Superman.
That's really cool.
It is really cool. This is all really cool. Look at this.
We do the impossible,
See the invisible.
touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
Hell yeah, you do.
You ain't know?
Ooh,
Now you know.
look at all that. Oh. Damn, grabbing Superman, throwing him around. Are we in? Is that the source wall?
Digger. If there's a wall in my way, I'll
Can he drill through it? I did not expect him to go to this. Did he just drill through the source? Was that the source wall? I think, yeah, because that's the equation. So I think they are giving it to him technically.
Stop fighting. Think about your fear of death, your love of your friends, your compassion for me, your hope for the future. Choose life.
Have faith in the Simone that believes in
Hell yes. Tear a hole in the sky! I mean, here it is, right? What does Kyle do to that? Oh, damn. I mean, yeah, he's got drills too, if he wanted. Oh, Jesus! Oh.
The super weapon wasn't your mech.
It was me.
Then, Simone, I'm taking you in brightest day, in blackest night.
Oh, shit.
No evil shall escape my sight.
Oh, this is so cool. I did not expect them to do this.
Evil's might. Beware my power. Green Lantern fly!
Oh my god! Oh!
See you grit those teeth.
That's not good! Oh, that's really not good.
You'd make a good lantern.
Simone of Earth, you have been chosen.
Wow.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
What a way to end it. Although they didn't even kill him.
For the guy with the snazzy
Interesting, okay.
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal standards.
It is.
Take speed. Simone
You
can
really
hit
gotta
an
dig
infinite number of
deeper
targets
and
all at
explain
once,
more.
And Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept of speed itself.
Yeah.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead, let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd
Absolutely.
as Simone and Kyle. Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate potential.
First
Well,
up,
potential, yeah, that's
imagination.
a
The
big one for
boundless things
Simone.
They could conjure to use against the other. Both could think up just about anything
Mm-hmm.
the other could, like absorbing each other's attacks, fighting across time, anything.
Yeah, a
Simone
lot of
did have a
stuff.
few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability-altering missiles, but it's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against existence being erased across the
Okay,
multiverse.
maybe.
And in general, Kyle's
Again,
constructs
it's hard
lot
to
more creative
make
than Simone's
equivalencies.
arsenal, which was mostly drills. Though again, nothing Simone couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption.
Yeah.
Imagination is a draw.
That leaves
Okay.
the other main factor for both characters, the origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's really gonna be the winning factor here, since it's the source of everything for both of them. Whoever's got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale
Yeah.
with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This might sound absurd for most characters, but it's necessary for beings as beyond the pale as
Oh, you know,
Simone
it's more
got.
necessary than you might think
multiverse
for
labyrinth
some
that Simone
fights.
absorbed contained 11 spatial dimensions. That's 1.3 dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
Okay.
And remember, each numbered dimension
I'm fine to just roll with that
infinitely
for now.
surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Kyle gets the edge, because if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
Yeah.
So to determine the limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's whole deal with spiral power is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
No, he
Absorbing
definitely
the
wouldn't.
multiverse labyrinth required Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle, especially since
If that's the
spiral
gap
power
you're looking at,
also
then
lets him
yeah,
regenerate
I
his
buy
body
that.
down to an informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Oh,
Without the
interesting.
ability to
Okay.
easily kill Simone, it was only a matter of time before Kyle's ring ran low on
Yeah,
charge.
I had a
Especially
feeling
since
this
Simone
could have been
likely
a
regenerate
problem.
For at least a week straight, like Nia did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And while Kyle could manipulate emotions
Yeah.
to reduce Simone's willpower, Simone resisting the labyrinth's mental manipulation meant he could power through anything Kyle threw at him.
Everything
Okay.
is, except for the life equation. It originated
Okay.
from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too bad Kyle couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset, forcing him
In
to
every
relinquish it
instance,
to
though?
keep from destroying reality and himself.
Compare that to Simone, who
Okay.
writes with a version of himself writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using spiral power to make that fiction into reality.
Mm-hmm.
A pretty similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering.
You know, yeah,
by
he
the
really
end of
has
the
no
story.
problem just
No matter
getting
how you look
stronger
at it,
and adapting to
Simone might
power.
start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's. Isn't that how all of Simone's battles usually
Yep.
go anyway? That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
So Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle, which means his willpower was ultimately greater. Kyle may have embodied life itself, but Simone's unstoppable
Okay,
evolutionary
interesting.
potential would shatter even this.
Again, I
lantern's
definitely
light.
think there are
Kyle
other
at least
interpretations.
dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The winner is Simone.
Even though
the
you didn't
Digger.
kill him, but okay. Good job,
Next time
Simone.
on
Really good
Death
job.
Battle.
And next time we have... Oh, it's Wile E Coyote versus Tom. We're finally getting it, guys. Feels like
Subscribe and
feels
join
like
us
it's been forever, right? We've known about this one for so long. Since the end of... What year is it? Since the end of 2023, the Tournament of Champions, we're finally getting it. That feels great. I do really enjoy this fight. Not my favorite, like, Looney Tunes fight. Like, I really like, obviously, Mickey versus Bugs, my most wanted death battle right now. Daffy versus Donald, another one I really like. But this one is also still really good. Like, this is like peak, you know, cartoon, like classic cartoon shenanigans, you know? So this is gonna be fun. And Luis has been working on it for so long at this point, the animation, you know? So I'm excited to see how all of this comes together. I thought it could either be this one that was next, or again, like some other thing that was revealed on the Kickstarter, because it seems like they are trying to go through at least most of the Kickstarter ones first. Obviously not entirely, because they did, you know, Ghost Rider versus Spawn in the middle of that, but even still, like, I kind of just expected, yeah, it could either be this or something else. If it's anything that they've revealed to us early, they tend to want to do those first and save the surprises for later, which I can respect. So yeah, okay, I'm really excited for that one. That one's gonna be a lot of fun. But anyway, talking about this episode, so I mean, it goes without saying, the animation rocked so hard. And like I said at the beginning, like, I'm really happy with how they handled, you know, just trying to approach these characters. Like, you may disagree with some of the ways they analyze them. That's totally fine. But like, at least they tried to explain things in a more concrete way, you know, rather than making overgeneralizations that in general may not change the outcome, but, you know, you still want to get a good idea of what the characters are capable of, because you're not just trying to answer who would win in a fight, you're trying to be a genuinely good source of information for these characters and how strong they are in a vacuum, right? Or at least that's how I see Death Battle. So I'm really happy that they felt the need to really go into that stuff. I thought that's awesome, you know, respect for them. And again, you know, good job to Simone. You know, he's been like the underdog for a large portion of this time. So, you know, great to him for winning. Again, there are some things in the conclusion that I personally feel like I may need to double check, but even still, you know, I'm more than happy with you know, their general interpretation of it. I am surprised though, like with the life equation, again, I feel like the life equation at its fullest power, I'm not sure if Simone could work around that, because its reality warping capabilities, I'm pretty sure would be enough to win. But if you're trying to say that, well, the life equation, you know, Kyle can't really control it, even though I'm not sure if that's true in like any given instance, like in just the fight that they were in, I'm not really sure if that's, you know, the best argument. But even still, like, I didn't even really think they should have been giving him the life equation in the first place. I guess I am happy that they addressed it in general, but it seemed more like they came to the conclusion that he would win without the life equation, and then was like, well, we want to talk about the life equation, but, you know, we don't want that to be the deciding factor. So, you know, I don't know what their intention was. I don't really know what where they were looking at it from that point of view, but even still, you know, again, they came to their conclusion. I think it's a respectable conclusion. You know, even if you guys disagree, at least try to be respectful, okay? This is still an awesome battle, right? An awesome fight. I'm really happy we got to see Death Battle make. I do think obviously the animation got more intense as it got better, but got more intense as it went on. But I also think it got just generally better animated. There were some like hand-drawn moments at the beginning where it's like, maybe that could have been drawn a little better or something. But like as it went on, especially when you get to like Super Tengen, Toppa, Gurren Lagann, it's like, well, that just looks perfect. You know, that looks amazing. I'll definitely want to rewatch this a few times, and of course I'll have the podcast review episode out probably like next week or something. We'll see. But yeah, no, overall, still, this was a lot of fun. Maybe some nitpicky things I could throw out, but I still had a lot of fun with this episode. Again, the fact that we have it, and I can just rewatch this whenever I want, this awesome, you know, grand scale thing in both the animation and the analyses, like, that's just awesome. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Who do you think should have won? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But no matter what you do, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.